But I usually just
Breakfast is here. Hi.
How are you? Awesome. I hope so. Me and Kimberly are gonna work well together. We met at the IHOP meeting. Yes.
Good morning, Sam. How are you?
What about you?
Get her or send her to work. Why would I do that?
Why did you start that, right?
when you go
Too early for that, man.
Yeah, and I'm on my message down.
I want the chips to go with that chip clip, Megan.
Okay. I'll bring you a bag of more.
Okay.
Like John Reed Mark. He is in our, he's our lawyer. We have a couple of people joining us today.
No. Those are pretty flowers.
It's all
Car wreck that
Wow.
I'm on the commercial side. So,
Clips.
Oh, flip.
Our
Wow.
branches look
Oh, Megan's too bad.
You've done that.
all right, thank you. Good morning.
And then they started writing things. Oh, thank you. Max Left. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, very good, yeah. Okay. And she'll come out and see it, and then we'll make an offer. Oh, we got Chick-fil-A this morning. Want a little breakfast? Okay.
Yeah.
Things are moving in the right direction. And I've had a fun time communicating with a bunch of people.
All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get started. We have a full agenda today, so we need to move forward. Thank you for being here on time. Please, if you would do your
Yeah.
hook out some. Come on, buddy.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
That's an abrupt greeting. I'm Rick Clark with Silverton Mortgage, and I promised Jim that I would be brief, so I will be brief. I'm going to give you a word of encouragement this morning. It has nothing to do with the mortgage business. By the way, we do mortgages. We do a great job. We got great rates. We get you to the closing table fast. We're wonderful. We're smiles, happy, unicorns, cotton candy, the whole thing. So anyway, I want to talk to you guys, and I think this is important. And some of you will raise an eyebrow, and some of you will listen to what I'm saying. So this is, first of all, this is an arrangement of flowers that my daughter's business, Hawk Hill Flowers, she made this. So I'm going to give this away today, and y'all be thinking about who I'll give it to. But I was driving in and looking at this morning, and I thought about what this says about what God is like. Because the variety, I mean, God didn't just say, I'm going to make flour. He said flowers and made thousands of different varieties, some of which nobody will ever see. They're in some obscure place, and he is the one who gets joy out of them. But I was looking at these and thinking about, so this is Leatris, y'all impressed? It has another name. This is Queen Anne's lace, that one I know. That's a hydrangea. These are calla lilies. That's all I know about it. Actually, this is a type of black-eyed Susan. It's a different type. But look around this room. There is a lot of variety in this room. And God made all of us different. And it's really easy for us to want monoculture. And that's not the way God wants it. And we have to fight against our tendency to want everything to look just like us. So I want you guys to be encouraged and to keep your eyes open and to value the beauty of people who look different, who talk different, who eat other foods. That was a joke. Cool, y'all with it?
Yeah.
Especially guys this year, because there's a lot of people that want to divide all of us and make us look at each other as if we're the enemy. And you are not the enemy. We all have a common enemy who wants to divide us. Y'all with me? Yeah. All right, cool. That's what I've got. Now, who am I going to, Brenda, can I get an amen?
I already know.
Amen.
I know. Dottie Towel. Been in the business the longest anybody inside, so.
Guys, Dottie is back today.
Let's
Y'all
go.
excited?
Yay,
And if we were all the same, some of us would not be necessary.
Yeah, and it'd be very boring, wouldn't it?
Thank you.
Respectful.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, and if you have a special person that you want to send a pop by, please use Mary Evelyn. To her. I use her very often for Mother's Day, for birthdays, for the special client, and she delivers the most beautiful arrangements and very affordable, honestly.
Everyone I give these to, they love them, so I agree with that. Of course, now, I gotta train Reed that he needs to put his daughter's information up on the board, but I haven't trained him yet.
I'm working on it, sir.
I'm working on it, exactly what you- all right, so, guys, if you have not been yet to the mid-year changes, and see what's going on, guys, there are some significant changes going on, so make sure you get to a class. Matter of fact, I probably have to take this about 3 times around the minute. I've taken it once, and I'm still lost what's going on. Got a couple of things. Anyway, guys, Thomas and Brown is gonna do a mid-year changes. It's gonna be class June 24th, 1 to 4. Is Cheryl teaching this? Cheryl King is teaching it, and via Zoom, guys, and she is the best that I'm aware of that teaching it. She's not only an attorney, a closing attorney, but she also is on the forms committee, so please put this in your calendar. Come, and if it's your second time, come again. If it's your first time, God bless you. So anyway.
Can I weigh in on that one, because I went to her class and it's
Yes, you
amazing?
can.
I mean, because we're thinking about all the changes that are coming around the corner. There's a form to fill out that the selling listing agent needs to sign for you before you show that first property to your buyer that says this is what we recognize the commission to be. If they don't fill it out, there's another exhibit you include with your contract that says this is what we expect it to be. And the buyer brokerage agreements are not what, our listing agreements are not what they used to be. You've got, are we paying it through Quan to everybody? Are we paying it to 2 different brokers? So please go to her class, because especially if you're a listing agent, we want to know that those listing agents have those forms ready to go. So we're not just calling people, and if they just verbally tell you they're paying X%, that doesn't hold into anything. They can change that at any point. But there's a lot more work for you to do as your buyer's agent, so.
And the biggest change is you're gonna have to start talking to each other, which I love. Okay, great. Okay, wonderful sponsor, CNA Rentals. You wanna talk about
I'm speaking.
okay.
Yeah, Megan begged me not to have to speak. There's Megan. Gordon and Associates, we have a property management company called CNA Rentals. The great thing and the thing that we really commit to within our organization is if you refer us the client for property management services, we are not going to steal said client from you, like a lot of property management companies do. Instead, we're going to call you and say, hey, Christy, great news. Bob expressed interest in selling 123 Main Street that you referred to us 6 years ago and would like to know what it's worth since we're getting ready to come up at the end of the lease term. And Christy now has that opportunity back in her box. So a lot of property management companies do not make that promise, and we do. So we have We have a lot of various ways that we help the landlord save. We don't mark up repairs. We also offer a discount for 3 or more properties. So we really encourage clients to buy our investment real estate. And in this market, I think that's a lane that we're seeing make a lot of sense. So if you need a partner for property management, Megan is it. You have propaganda on your tables with Megan's direct number on it, and we are glad to help you price. If you have a client that says, I like this property, what would it rent for? Call Megan. We can talk about what we're seeing, where we think there's opportunity, things like that. Okay?
Thank you, Megan. Well, look, exactly right. Guys, this is another class that you need to take for sure, then we're gonna move on, but guys, we're doing this class, Michael Cheever is teaching it, and it's on your value compensation and commissions, what you can and cannot say. So guys, if you're gonna have this yet, it's coming up on Thursday, June the 20th. And so please sign up for it because it's a good class and you'll get CE credit for it also. Okay, this is coming up soon. Also got a listing coming up with Kelly Allen. She is a master at this, at getting these listings, and she's going to share with us on Monday, June 24th. You agents out there that say, I never have anything for me. This is for everybody, guys, whether you're new in the business or whether you've been in it for a long time. It's always good to see someone that does this at a high level. All right, Jennifer, come on up. Welcome, Jennifer Kinzelao. Yay!
With my trustee Thomas and Brown fan. Good morning, I am Jennifer Kinzelao. I have been a part of Courtney's team for the last 8 years, and last year we decided, or a year and a half ago, to get into the networking world of building relationships outside of real estate. So our chapter is the East Cobb chapter of BNI, and I brought 3 awesome people with me today to introduce to you. I have a trial lawyer, I have a podcast producer, and we also have a hypnotherapist, mental health wellness. She does it really all. So I just wanted to make sure that anyone in this business understands that having good partners in your pocket is paramount, it's essential. And to really beef up those connections, I wanted to introduce you to the 3 awesome people in my BNI group. So we'll go ahead and start with my...
Tell them what BNI stands for.
BNI is Business Networking International. Each, I would say there's several chapters throughout the state. And what you'll find when you go to a BNI chapter, as a realtor, I'm the only realtor in that seat, in a group of now 29 folks. And we share referrals. Every Tuesday morning, we meet and, you know, they let me know, hey, Jen, I got a family member who's looking to buy and sell, and anyone I know that's looking for a good lawyer to help with an eviction, I send them Mike's way. Tax deeds, send them Mike's way. So, you know, I have awesome partners and felt very compelled to share them with you. And if you're interested in learning more about BNI, helping someone else support their business, whether they're an electrician, plumber, we are always looking to grow our chapter with other awesome folks. Sorry, the realtor seat has been taken. But without further ado, I'll introduce my Dunham trial lawyer.
Morning, everybody. All right, first and foremost, who's figured out what this is? It's a bookmark. Very good, very good. And I had more of these than I had business cards, so at least you have my phone number. I'm a trial lawyer. I've been doing it for 22 years. Relevant to you, I do not do personal injury work. I don't do closing work. Relevant to you guys would be the landlord-tenant side. I've been doing landlord-tenant law for my entire career. I started out as a mediator when I was still in law school in the Fulton Landlord-Tenant Court. I've probably heard about 200 cases in maybe 9 months. Landlords very often will do their dispos on their own, which is perfectly fine if it's a paint-by-numbers kind of thing. It's when it runs sideways that they call me. So for example, if the tenant is a sovereign citizen, how many people know what that is? Sovereign citizen. The rest of you, get on Wikipedia sometime when you want to fall down the rabbit hole. These people are very creative in the quasi-legal theories they come up with, and they can tie up the properties for a long time. I've been dealing with them for my entire career. I've always got one going, and I'm happy to help you as best I can. They will figure out a way to get a dispo into bankruptcy court, into federal court, up to the Court of Appeals, all of those things. So I'm happy to help with those as best I can. I also do, Jennifer mentioned tax deeds. If you have a buyer who's interested in buying a tax deed or has bought the tax deed already and is trying to figure out how to get marketable title, there's a process to do that. It takes some time, but I'm well familiar with that and happy to help. There's a lot of different things that I do. I do some small business, commercial litigation as well. So if you know somebody who is trying to recover some money, I may be able to help with that as well. So I can take questions for like a quick second. If anybody's got something off the top of their head.
So you mentioned eviction, so do you do the legal part of the eviction?
Yep, the question was evictions, dispossessory actions in Georgia. Yes, I handle those kind of front to back until it's actually time to do the eviction, and we recommend that eviction servicing company to actually provide the labor, have a locksmith on site, all that sort of thing. We'll coordinate that, we'll do the entire legal process for you leading up to that. There's been some changes in the law. There were 3 bills passed this last session that are relevant to landlords and to people who own houses. One of them you may want to read up on is on squatters' rights. I can walk you through that a little bit. But squatters have no rights, and those have been curtailed in pretty powerful ways this last time around. So I'm happy to help walk you through some of that as well. Yes, sir.
Was that only in Fulton County in Atlanta, or was that a statewide thing?
Squatters' rights things?
Yeah.
No, that was done in the General Assembly, that's statewide. There's also, it's not a thing yet, it's just too early, but I think it will be ramp up fairly soon. I would say within the next 6 months, we'll have fairly robust ways in the metro area to be able to jump the line if the sheriff can't evict fast enough, because right now, most metro area counties, the waiting list is between 5 and 8 months to get, from getting writ to actually kicking them out. We may be able to shorten that a little bit by use of good old fashioned capitalism. That's coming down the pipe. So, more to come on that later, but the sheriff should have lists of people who are approved to do that you can pay if the sheriff can't get to it in 30 days. So, that'll be helpful as well. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out anytime. Happy to help.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, and since Amy's standing, I'll go ahead and send her to the front. She's ready for you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Jennifer, thank you so much for coordinating this. Jennifer is the best connector. She is so full of heart. I know y'all know that, but she's been amazing for us. My name is Amy Head. I'm in private practice as a licensed clinical social worker, just right down the road on Johnson Ferry. My practice is New Perspectives for Life. I shared with you a sheet of information, and my business card is attached to that as well. But I do individual marriage and family therapy. I do hypnosis, hypnotherapy, civil mediation, life coaching, and a lot of corporate wellness workshops, team building, executive leadership coaching, all kinds of different things like that. And I love working in the corporate sector just because you guys have a lot going on. You're spinning many plates at one time. You're dealing with lots of people, lots of personalities, and you're trying to make things happen, and there can be roadblocks in the way. And a lot of times we get to feel like those roadblocks are us, and that we don't ever want to feel that way. We want to feel competent and capable and powerful to manage through everything. So through the power of networking, Jennifer came into our group. She's been helping my mom try to downsize as an 86-year-old mama, so she's helping her with that, so I really appreciate that. But I'm here for you guys if you ever need any just kind of self-assurance, just kind of motivation, momentum, restoration for yourself, any self-care. I do a lot of workshop topics, but I love to work with people from their strength and from what they are capable of. A lot of times we tend to beat ourselves up, this deal didn't go the way I thought it would go, I didn't maybe handle this quite the right way. But when you're dealing with a lot of people, a lot of the workshops I do are around how to deal with difficult people, effective communication, the power of negotiation, all the things that y'all do pretty much 24/7. You eat, sleep, and drink that. Y'all are all experts in that. So the hypnosis is great because it helps our mindset from a subconscious perspective where we kind of know the right things or we know what we should think, but we just can't seem to get over the hump to do them. Hypnosis is great with that. But also the mediation, if you have any situations where people are just not coming together and it's looking like it could move into the legal realm, but they don't want to go into attorney's fees or court costs or things like that, I can help from a preliminary perspective on that. So just want to really appreciate the fact that y'all have us here today, and just see if you have any questions about anything related to the mental health piece aspect of what you guys do.
In mediation, do you hypnotize everybody?
I would love to do that.
You're hired.
Yes, exactly.
You're hired.
Yeah, that would be great. Hypnotized for mediation would be perfect. Get the results we're looking for, yes.
Do we have any questions for Amy? And one thing I will plug is that I know that they're here and just spending a very short amount of time with us today. So if there's interest in them coming back and sharing more time, naturally I wanna give you guys that opportunity. So please, let someone in team leadership know so that we can get them back in to spend, more than just 7 minutes with their quick spiel. So thank you very much, Amy, and have dinner.
And pay attention because I have 2 giveaways. I've got mini mics to make podcasting, recording messages musically. We'll start out with, again, I'm Pat Fenner. I'm a podcast producer and my business is Eagle Business Services, and I help other businesses produce a podcast to reach people, to get more clients, to serve their current clients, and to get new ones. So I have a couple statistics I want to start out with. The average listener of podcasts spends about 7 hours per week listening. 73% of users use their phones, and 50% of marketers already are using podcasts to promote their business. And one thing I want to just shout out to Reed, I love the way he opened this meeting today because it really showed how we are all distinct and unique and have our own, just our own approach and our own things to offer our clients. And so while you are all real estate agents, you are all different people. You may have the same industry, but you have different things to offer. And that is perfect for a podcast. So really quickly, I just want to, you don't have to commit to a long-term podcast. There's a thing that a product service that I offer called a capsule podcast. It is a short 5 to 7 episodes that you can put on your website that people can get to hear your voice, get to listen to you, get to kind of get an idea of what it's like to work with you before they even meet you. So that's one thing. The other thing is I know how important it is to keep up with clients. Down the years, and referrals are a great resource for real estate agents. And there's a new service too that I'm offering called a private podcast. And rather than you have to put up a newsletter or try to remember to send an email to keep up with people, it's a really easy way to just, it doesn't get, you don't have to worry about selling, you don't have to worry about it being popular and being found. You only send it to your clients. So you get, you're in the car, you pick up your little podcast, your what do you call it, your microphone there, and you just record on your phone and say, hey guys, don't forget taxes are coming up, you might want to do that. You can send reminders, you can send just season's greetings, things like that, and they're listening, they're in your ear. People, as I mentioned, are listening on their phone, a lot of them are in your ear, but you literally have their ear. So that's something that you can consider. So now for the giveaways, real quick, how many hours per week do people spend?
7.
7.
Oh, it's an aggressive group.
And really an easy one about how many business owners currently use podcasts for marketing.
50%.
50%, there you go.
Wow.
All right, so if you want more information, the QR code is on that, on the flyer. Will lead to a free 30-minute pod chat with me, and we can talk and see what's good for your business. Thank you for your time.
All right, guys, so please let us know if you'd like to have any of those free back for luncheon or anything like that, and something new, because you're not interested in coming back. Let one of us know, let Carolyn know when you're back, and Courtney, you're up. So welcome, Courtney Newton, yay!
Alright, it's time for the dog and pony show. Alright, so market strategies to win. So I think we definitely need to dim the lights, so yeah. Okay, cool, that's better, right? Like y'all can see the screen. Okay. Alright, so a little about me and then we'll talk about why I think stats are important. So I don't know everyone in the room, so I like to real quick kind of lay this out. So the reason I really study stats and pay attention to what's going on in the market is because I want to be able to first position myself to win, whether that be through buying investment properties, whether that be through doing flips, whether that be through winning a listing appointment. And then I want to help my clients better understand what's happening in the market and be able to kind of see forecasts into the future. So with my company, so I have Courtney Newton and Associates. I'm a member of this office, 150 units last year. where we've been an MREA team for over 10 years. We were just ranked number 7 in the entire state of Georgia, all brokerages included, for units and volumes sold. So, we get up and go to work every day. I also, as you all have found out, I'm the broker owner of CNA Rentals. We've had that company for 10 years and we manage over 150 single family residences in and around Northwest Atlanta. So we have that. I'm also a real estate investor. So since 2007, I have been buying investment rental properties. I own everything from commercial to long-term rental to short-term rentals. I am a big believer in buying real estate as real estate agents. So I very much encourage that as agents, that you should be looking at a third of your income and reinvesting it back into real estate, because what do we know better than anyone? Real estate. And what deals do we see before anyone? Real estate. I also own a rehab business, a flipping company. We've already done about 20 flips. We have another 10 on the board. Our goal is to do 75 flips this year, so I do that separate of the 150 units. We flip 75 homes in Cobb County, basically, rehab, put back to market. So if you ever have clients that are needing just a cash offer or just want to be done, I can make those offers, and I've made them for a lot of you. The other thing that I will do is I will pay your commission. There are agents in this room that I have represented me, and I have paid them a full commission. The other investments, I am an investor at the KW West, the newest market center in Metro Atlanta. I'm one of the investors at that market center. I also own with Liz and Sherry a referral holding company, so when agents are getting out of the business, they are able to go into referral status essentially, so not inactive, but not fully active, meaning they don't have board dues, FMLS dues, things like that. And then I'm also co-owner of the Tennessee Alabama Cyberbacker franchise. So if you're looking for a virtual assistant in anywhere, I can help you identify and find that. I have 2 virtual assistants in our companies that help us do a variety of tasks. So those are me. And then the important stuff, I am Charlie's mama. And that is honestly the most important thing that I get to do every day, is be her mom. I'm also a very big Braves fan. And I'm an Adele super fan, Adele the singer, and I'm a big fan and advocate of folks having these great big lives and investing and not being as good as their last sale. Because a lot of times I have friends that are in other brokerages that the advice their broker gives them when I present them an opportunity and they've got to get it cleared through their broker is, just go sell another house. Yep. I don't believe that's the answer to the question. So when you work that way, you want to be in an environment that's feeding the idea of go sell another house for the purpose of not having to go sell another house. Okay? I know Jim loves that, but that is the right answer, because you can do all of these things and still go sell another house and have other investments. All right, so let's get started. So why does this matter? We know in the Shift book that it is very clear that you should be the economist of choice. And we know between podcasts, social media, the news, grandpa who sold a house in the 1970s, all of these things that people are told what's going on in the market, right? Interest rates are super high. Well, back in my day, they were 17%, right? Are houses selling today? Will a house sell in Metro Atlanta today?
Yes.
We are gonna look at the numbers, but there's plenty of houses happening every month. Let's go get our unfair share. So we've got to help change the conversation with our clients. And what we've got to do is help educate them on strategy. And that's why stats matter. Because what we're giving them is factual, logical strategy versus emotional, which is grandpa going, well, don't be going and buying a house at 7%, then rates will get back down to 2.5%, right? You know there are people walking amongst us in the world. I can go to Publix and I bet I could find someone that goes, rates will be back to 3%, I know it, right? I don't believe that's reality. I think that was a moment in time. Just like pricing in 08, 09 was a moment in time. And you just gotta take advantage of what's happening in today's market and then pivot and adjust as you go, right? Because I don't think there's anyone that buys a house thinking I'm gonna make every single payment for 30 years. I'm gonna live here for all 30 years. I'm never moving, right? It's a moment in time that we live at 123 Main Street, and then we move down the road, and then we go up the road, and then we actually go back to the house, right? You know those folks, they just move around in the same pocket of the world. Nobody's living in a house for 30 years. So this is where you have to create expectations. and be clear on why with facts. And that's how you create willing, ready, and able buyers in this market. So let's dig in. Oh, when you're the economist of choice, you're actually a pattern interrupter because you sound different. When you're at the open house giving stats to a buyer, you sound different than the agent goes, you want me to set you up on an MLS search? I can do that. What, you just want me, give me your email, I'll just put you on searching to see everything that hits the MLS. Or they can just go to Zillow. They don't need us to set up a search. So you're better able to serve your clients when you have real data. Okay. So let's first talk about unemployment. So this is the thing that's kind of catching, and if you watch the news, which I don't encourage, but if you watch the news, what you're seeing is unemployment's doing really well. And that's a problem. Why is it a problem? Because everybody's gainfully employed and they're able to pay their 3% mortgage payment. So they're not moving, which is what's creating a little bit of a housing shortage. It's also causing employers, because they're not creating new jobs that they can't fill, what they're doing is in fact just giving more work to this person. Instead of creating a new job, I'm actually going to expect you to do 2 jobs. And I'm gonna need you to do a half of more job and you a half more job, and I could have created 2 jobs because they're trying to make more profit, right? So what's happening is these folks aren't moving because they don't want to, because they feel locked in to their mortgage payment, right? They're like, I can afford this, where everything else in my life, I don't know where it's going. It only seems to keep going up. This is kind of staying the same. Now with the tax bills that just came out, that was actually a blessing for all of us. Because what it did is it kind of rocked the payment boat a little bit, right? That guy that's got a $2,500 a month payment and his taxes went up $4,000 this year, his payments risen almost $400. So now he's going, do I need to keep that house? Because maybe I should downsize, maybe I should take the equity, go pay cash for something, right? Those are conversations. So what we're seeing with unemployment, and this is where from a political, and I'm gonna make political statements, I'm not trying to be political, I'm just saying from an administration standpoint, they're going, unemployment's good, inflation's down, all of these things that you said you had to raise rates for, why aren't rates coming down? And some of that's probably political, and in it they're saying to themselves, okay, we're gonna do it closer to the election, get some wins from it, get some points on the board, things like that. So understand, people have jobs and they have a lot of responsibility with their jobs. And there's a lot of people that are very unhappy in their jobs. And that's where, as agents, we need to be touching base with them. How's things at work? If you could get a different job, or if you could move somewhere, or if you could cash out your house and go pay cash, would you retire early? What would that look like? What would happen if your employer tomorrow let you go? Because we are starting to see some of that, right? Has anyone in here had a client in the last 6 months walk in and they don't have a job?
Walmart's closing up the street.
Right, exactly, exactly. You got a lot of clients at the Walmart, Clark?
I'll get them before you will.
Yeah, go for it. So unemployment is a thing in that it doesn't exist, but it's starting to creep, it starts to exist. And what we're really seeing is there's 2 types of unemployment. White collar jobs are actually what's being unemployed. Blue collar jobs can't fill them fast enough. What's happening is those 2 are canceling each other out. That makes sense? So the number shows up good, but reality is if I took just the white collar jobs, the folks that are trying to replace their $150,000 a year salary is struggling to find that job. And they're looking at relocation. So that's where you're asking folks, who just got let go of their job? How's work? You know, what does it look like? What does it feel like? I have a client that his 24-person department at AT&T is down to 8 in 6 months. So that, I mean, and guess what? They still have the work of 24 people. He's miserable. So I'm really encouraging him, let's take your almost $500,000 of equity and just go pay cash for something. And yeah, you can get rid of your $170,000 a year salary if you don't have a mortgage, right? And he can go take the job for $80,000. That's not as much stress, not as much work, right? So are you in that kind of relationship with your clients? That's the conversations you gotta be willing to have, because it feels a little intrusive, right? But that's where you come from, a place of, I am your real estate strategic financial planner. And you would talk to your financial planner about your 401k. Well, I want you to talk to me about your house that's like a 401k, right? I mean, most people's greatest source of wealth sits in their home equity. All right, next. All right, so this is script alert. So what else is happening in your life, and how can the equity in your real estate solve that problem? Whether that be the kids are headed to college, whether that be your job, like what is it that that equity could represent for you and your family if we tapped it, right? Because I get a $2,000 a month mortgage, but I know what's better is a mortgage is just taxes and insurance. I don't have a mortgage. So what does that equity look like, and what problem could it solve, right? Because I have a lot of folks that the equity could solve for them, their parents being able to move in with them and they get rid of childcare. Are you asking that question? You've got to get in deeper relationships with clients that they think to call you for advice. I mean, April 1, I had a client call me and she was like, bring the sign, we're selling the house. He lost his job. I was like, okay, and she was starting a new job and taking a big pay cut. She was out on the ledge. I was like, come on back in the ledge. Let's talk through it. Let's look at it. Let's do a severance package. Sure enough, May, we put the house on the market. It did make sense. But I didn't walk in going, okay, let's sell the house. Let's go. Let's have a strategic conversation. Are you putting your life on hold for an interest rate? And that's the question that I ask a lot of folks when they start going, well, you know, the objection is my payment, my rate, Girl Scout, I got a 2.5% interest rate. Things are good. Look at my badge. I got it. You know, right? We know those clients. They're walking around with 2.5%, and they are 2.5%, 2.5%. Did I tell you about my 2.5% interest rate? Right? They're worse than people who go to CrossFit. And are they putting their life on hold because of an interest rate? So, are you taking control of the power of your equity? And those are conversations. If you went through your entire database, I don't care if they bought last year or 10 years ago, and just ask that question, what is happening in your life and how could the equity fix it? They're crippling credit card debt. Their kids, they've got tuition this time next year going to be due for college. What is it that equity could solve for them? Okay? So this goes back to the inflation, right? We felt this here. Now we're down to 3.5, 3.8. We expect it to be closer to 3 by the end of the year. So from that standpoint, you've got to ask yourself, okay, stuff has become more affordable. And we're seeing it a little bit in housing prices as inventory levels start to rise. We're starting to see, we don't see the big bidding wars anymore. We don't see, you know, the cost of lumber, things like that. Builders aren't being as aggressive. So knowing that and understanding that people actually we can feel it at the gas pump. And that's the two ways most people feel it is at the grocery store and the gas pump. So as long as gas stays low and groceries kind of maintain, people feel like inflation's under control. That's the only place that we know how to determine inflation. We don't know what the GDP is and what, you know, the cost of iron ore and all of those things are, okay? Home sales. So we've heard Gary say this around home sales and understanding that we're going to sell about the same amount of homes we sold last year. And there's going to be a lot more hurdles to get through it, right? Whereas in 2020 and 2021, we were running a 100-meter dash, right? You just get the buyer and go, follow me, let's go. We're going to go buy a house. And they bought a house. They sold their house, they bought a house. Done. Now, we got to talk about commission. We got to talk about the interest rate. We got to talk about contingencies. We got to talk about inspection amendments. Oh, it didn't appraise. We got all these other hurdles that we haven't had, right? I mean, literally, and this is 2024. This agent has been licensed since 2021. And he says to me, and it was so sweet, he goes, I've never done an inspection amendment. I go, oh baby, I got you. All right, here we go. And I said, I'm gonna get you a paycheck. Like that's all you need to know is I'm gonna help you and I'm gonna represent my client and I'm gonna treat you right and we're gonna get this done. Literally, I had my admin write the amendment for him. We went through it with his client. I mean, we did whatever we had to do to get that done. He had never wrote one. Worked with a lot of investors. His clients bought a lot of new construction. He's never really sold resale. There are agents walking amongst us that haven't done inspection amendments before. There's agents walking amongst us that have never had an appraisal, not appraise, right? So what does that feel like if you're that agent? Be humble. They say it, no problem, I'm gonna help you through this, let's go. If you are that agent, get you a friend in the office that can help you with that amendment. I wouldn't recommend using the other agent, they may not be as kind. But understand that sales-wise, we've got enough sales out there, guys. I mean, there's plenty of sales that exist. It's not like in 08, 09, when, I mean, we're talking it was down 20%, 20% of what it used to be, where there just wasn't anything. And let me add insult to injury, it's also gonna be a $60,000 sale, and it's gonna be at an auction where they're only gonna pay a standard dollar amount commission, and they're not gonna close for 6 weeks, right? I mean, those existed, right? I love to tell the story of the $8,000 lot, and I got paid $75. And I was pumped. And so I was like, I can take a gas, let's go, right? Those exist. So home sales exist. You just gotta go find them, and they're not from the same well that we've been pulling water from. It's not. We've gotta go find, they're a different kind of client that's showing up today. I challenge all of you when you're sitting at the table to ask the buyer or the seller, whoever the other side of the transaction is, what's making you buy or sell? And listen. That's called research. Okay? All right, so these are from, everybody has these. The beautiful Kimberly sends this out every month. How many people actually open the email and really look at it? Oh, look at the hands, very nice. Okay, so this exists. It gets sent out basically a couple of different ways. Once a month is a monthly market overview, which is just a month to month, here's what happened. And then once a quarter on, here's what happened in the quarter, okay? So it follows this area. I like to focus in on like the 8 counties. So call it DeKalb, Cobb, Gwinnett, Fulton, Cherokee, I don't know, Clayton, and somewhere else south. Forsyth, yeah. So those are the 8 counties that I really like to focus on, and that's what they focus on for the 8 metro. Because look, what's happening, I don't know what's one of these counties down in like, yeah, somewhere like, I don't even go to these places, I don't even know where they are, but those counties, they're not the same market as us, right? And look, let's be honest, East Cobb's a little bit different animal than, say, Fulton or even Cherokee. And we're gonna talk about Cobb specifically, because that's what office we are, all right? So first and foremost, if you're a guest here today, welcome. I'm sure you're probably hearing this information for the very first time. And if you are and want to be with a company that does 5 times the business of the next 6 competitors, call us. Jen would love to talk to you about what we do in our business. All right, so this is the 8 counties. And what's interesting to see is we're up 6% on listings. So that means new listings is up 6%. But year over year, we're up 30%. So yeah, right? Like that's kind of exciting because it's been, right? So that's where we're getting agents that, I'll have friends and, call me and go, we've had 25 showings in 4 days and I don't have an offer. They're like freaking out. Like, they're like, I don't know what to do. We made a St. Joseph statue. I saw somebody like reposting. I'm like, oh my gosh, you just want to make us look like we don't know what we're doing. When you're saying, this is a strategy, consumer, we're going to plant a St. Joseph in the front yard. You are literally telling the consumer, I'm doing voodoo and want you to pay me highly for it. It's the silliest thing I've ever heard. So, listings are up, right? Like, I mean, it's just crazy. But here's where it gets sticky, and I hope you can read this. Line 2 is active listings is up 63.5%. That's scary, and that's where we get the voodoo. That's where we get the scary, because they're sitting.
Yeah.
And first quarter, the data told us 21 days is what it was taking to get a property under contract at 100%. And you're shaking your head, 21 days. Honey, I've had listings for years. Years. I've done this 22 years. I've had listings for years. I've had short sales that literally I saw the baby be born and I saw the baby go to college. It like 21 days, I promise, is not scary. Do you know why it's not scary? Because we're not going to the consumer and saying, homes are now taking 21 days to sell. They're not selling in an hour like Bob down the street sold with 55 offers and he, basically got to waive everything. That doesn't exist. We're not in that market anymore. We're out of Wonderland. So 63% more listings. And just for math in those metro 8 counties, that means 7,500 roughly to 12,000. That's how many more listings now exist on the marketplace. Now, do I believe out of that extra 5,000 that there's a lot of overpriced? A lot of dogs, right?
A lot of
trending down prices.
Trend, a lot of price corrections happening, a lot of agents chasing the market because they don't know what to do. There's a lot of agents that are frozen. And I'm not talking about their Botox, I'm talking about they're actually frozen. They don't know how to talk to the client. They're like, please just send me an offer, anything, I'll present it, I'll do my best, like, right? And they're just like, I just need something, because they don't know how to say to the client, you're overpriced, I missed the mark, or you missed the mark because I let you tell me what the price should be. And I believe if we adjusted the price to this, we could get it sold. That's where a lot of that is, in that 5,000. Those are the non-professionals, those are the agents that are more attached to having a sign in a yard than a paycheck, right? Because I'm cool, if you don't wanna reduce the price to a price that makes sense, I'll grab my sign and kick bricks, and you can go call a frozen agent and just let it sit. That's cool, and you've got to be that committed to lead generation that it doesn't matter, right? Because I can tell you, like Jennifer, when we're discussing like where we think the price should be, we come up with like 3 prices. And we're very firm in that, and we're cool if you go list with somebody else. We're cool if you list with someone else for a lesser commission, because we know the value we bring to the table and we're not afraid to walk away. The other thing that I would comment to is around the days on market. So we're seeing 19 kind of be the story, and really it's more like 21 is what we're seeing, because you can still get 99.9% of list price on day 21 when you follow the stats. But what we're really seeing is around this number failed. So what we see is 1,152 listings sold, because we remember even a blind squirrel found a nut 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? Because eventually the market pricing would come up. Or people were so desperate this time last year, I'll just take it, but maybe I'll negotiate with inspection, or maybe I'll negotiate closing costs, right? There was a little more negotiation. Now what we're seeing is 81% more failed listings. So that's an opportunity in the market. I'm okay, we used to have a saying back when the market was 2008-9, when it was really rough. And I'm sure Virginia remembers this one, is I'm gonna be your first love, your second wife, and your third realtor. I'm cool with it. This market is saying it's kind of okay to be the second realtor, right? I'm okay being your second realtor. Go play with the frozen agent, see if it works. 81% of the listings aren't. That's up, or 81% of the time they're not, but 30% of the time they are failing. So 1 out of 3 listings that hits the market never sells. You hear me on that? 1 out of 3. Who took a listing this week? Okay, are you gonna be, there was literally 3 hands went up. 1 of 3 of y'all ain't selling.
Not in this office.
Not in this office.
Not this office, okay, well.
Not in our office, Courtney.
But that's statistically the way to think about it. So am I okay, you wanna put this puppy at $550 and they're gonna sell in the neighborhood over $490. Cool, call the frozen agent. I'll holler at you when it expires, and let's see if you're ready to get serious. And so that's when they tell you I'm listing with someone for hire, you go, well, did they talk to you about the failure rate that's happening in the market right now? Right?
So that's being a consultant.
Correct. Yeah. So are they talking to you about the failure rate? Because what I know is 1/3 of all listings fail, and I would really hate for that to happen for you. Because the other thing I know is listing inventory is up 63%, and I only expect that to continue to climb. Right? So what does that look like? What will you do if at the end of 90 days, 100 days, 120, whatever they took the listing for, it doesn't sell? What do you plan to do? Now don't get me wrong, sometimes the frozen agent gets lucky, right? They do. And that's okay, but I'm going to do everything I can to take priced right listings and know that potentially 1, 2 out of 10 might make it through and they sell, okay? So really pay attention, and this is why we look at stats, because there's a strategy there. Expired listings are a strategy, right? Are you calling expireds? Are you finding out the motivation and saying, look, Mr. Seller, I know how to price properties appropriately. I've sold X number of homes this year. They've all sold for whatever, 99.7% of list price in less than 21 days. I know how to price a home to sell. Are you still looking to sell? That is different than, when are you gonna be interviewing an agent for the job of selling your home, right? So pay attention to that. Okay, next slide. So we're talking about the first 30 days on the market. So this is at the end of last year. And what you can see from this is at day 14, you could still tell a client they could expect about 100%, right? Like it might take them 2 weekends to kind of get into the marketplace, or first weekend you hold the open house and maybe they're thinking about it, or they got to get some stuff together with their lender, or whatever that looks like. Now, next slide, please. In first quarter this year, I don't know what happens on day 14. I think agents start getting crazy and they reduce, or I don't know what they're doing. But what I can say is on day 19, day 20, I can still get you. Do you see how we just added a week to market time? And that's where you as a professional can talk that client down. And you're talking them down 2 ways, because on day 5, they're freaking out that their house didn't sell. It's Monday morning, you don't have any offers. Where are they? And you're going, look, they're reload, they're this, we had this many showings, the market's taking longer. I'm glad to share with you a slide that shows you it could be up to 21 days and we could still get 100%. You still want 100%, right? I don't want you to give any money away, right? But you also are setting the expectations before you ever go to market. Guess what, Mr. Seller? On day 22, we're reducing the price because the market tells us that you're automatically going to get less money. Typically, it's somewhere around 3% less. So we already know we need to reduce. Let's go ahead and beat the market. So then, next, when you go and they go, well, no, Bob got multiple offers down the street. My house is way better than Bob's. Like, I mow my grass. It is a nice house. Those people I've got listed as, bless you. So what you're saying is, I get that Bob believes that you believe you should be seeing that. But here's what we know. At your price point, let's just use 500 to 750. Only 4 out of 10 actually see multiple offers. And really, they're not even seeing big bidding wars. They're just seeing a little bit, about 1% over list price. And we've been on the market 22 days. We don't have offers. We don't even have multiple. We have nothing. We've missed that. We're not Bob. Bob was in a different market. But what we are is this. So we've got to look at a price reduction. So then you go to incidence of price reductions. So here's what happens. We know 37, so the same 40% that get multiple offers, there's another 40% that have to reduce the price. We're in that club, right? We're the girl at the dance. They look okay, we're just not a good dancer. We got to learn another dance. So we reduce the price. And that happens 37. But the good news is, agents I think are getting better at price reductions, because this time last year it was around 38, about 5-7% more price reductions are happening, aren't happening, which means we're getting stronger in our pricing. So meaning from the get, we're not letting them just kind of say, oh, I want to try 550 and then kind of get lucky and they get it. Instead, we're saying, look, buddy, it's 500. This is the math. It won't appraise it. We've got an inspection to do. We got this. You may not need to sell, right? Because I think there are agents out there that will say, you just may not need to sell right now. And that's okay. I'll follow up with you in 6 months or a year when it does maybe make more sense. So then you got to show them this. And I think this is the best way to show them is you want to get the most money in the least amount of time. Is that correct? Yes. Great. So here's how we do that. We price this effectively. 53% of the time, if we price it effectively, you get 100% of what you're asking in 10 days. That's the true math, because that 19 includes those price reductions. It includes those days on market that we're seeing go up. Then you say, if we don't get it wrong, there is a huge penalty. So Mr. Seller, at 550, you're getting 91.5% of your original list price. So you're taking almost 10% off the price. So that 550 you're going for still gets you 500. Nobody's overpaying in this market, right? Now you're looking for a full with cash and they just don't exist. Because even if you got 550, the lender's still not going to give them 550 on an appraisal. So now they got to bring the difference. The likelihood of that happening is slim to none in this market. But here's what's really going to hurt. 129 days it's going to take you to get it sold. So let me ask you, let's future case a little bit, Mr. Seller. Today is middle of June. 129 days from now, it's really about 4.5 months. So are you prepared to still be in this home trick-or-treating? No, you wanted to be in before the school year started. So which of these two strategies, because I'm getting you the same money, right? It's still 500. But one is end of October, and one is September 1 or August 1 or whatever, we can negotiate to get you in by the school year. Which one's more important to you? I promise you, if you're sitting with a husband and wife, I know which one they're going to pick. They're not going to be that fighting for that 50 when you tell them it doesn't, it's never going to exist for you. And if it needs to exist, then this isn't the right time to sell. So are you having that kind of a conversation that you future pace them? You're getting 500 in Bozeman, and I don't know for sure that you're getting 500 in October. That's based on the last quarter's data. Now it could be 87%, so you could be getting even less. I mean, used to the conversation was you got less by trying to get more. So you were better just to price it right and get it going. That was a script. So are you pulling this out? Because the other thing I was gonna, I wanna point out is, there's been so far this year, 8248 closing in the 8 metro counties. So a little bit, almost 8,300 closings have happened so far this year. So there's plenty of business for you. So don't be afraid to walk away. But are you running them through these categories and saying to them, 129 days? I mean, that's cool, we'll sign a 150-day listing agreement, but at some point we gotta reduce the price. And you're still gonna get 500. Are you having that? Because it's real easy math. It's just a math problem, right? I'm going to do the proper things to market it, I'm gonna do the proper things to stage it, I'm gonna do the proper things to market it out to the world and agents letting you know it exists. You're going to do the proper things to make sure I show it and get the things done that the stager recommends. Cool? Cool. Let's price it right.
Hey,
Okay?
Courtney,
Yes.
one thing is, I don't know if everybody realizes this, that chart map, which this is from, we're the only ones, 25% of the market, we just showed that all of Keller Williams, right?
Have
We
that.
have this. So if you're talking to someone at Atlantic Communities or anywhere else, they don't get the annual slash like this. They just have to, they're not gonna figure out.
They're
There's a
using
person, there's
FMLS,
a
and
company
that's the whole
full-time that does this.
That's right. So that, make that very clear to a consumer is, you're probably not gonna see this. That's why I share it. So expireds, this is again a strategy alert. I briefly spoke about expireds and the importance of going after them. You have this time block on your calendar. Are you calling expireds in a strategic manner? 24.8% of listings will expire in the MLS. Now that's up to 28. That was first quarter. This is after May, we're at 28. So nearly a third of all listings are going to expire. Or do you have a search set up for your farm? Do you have a search set up for neighborhoods that your clients live in that you can call the client and go, hey, down the street, they listed their house and, oh, I saw it, I went to the open house, it's a beautiful house. They were asking a lot, and you really, did they get it? And you go, it expired. Would you happen to know their phone number? Or could you go on your little Facebook and send them a message and tell them to call me? I'd really like to talk to them about pricing. I have a great strategy for them. Are you being that strategic? Stalkerish, but are you being that strategic? Do we not want well-priced listings? Do we not want paychecks? Are you willing to do those things? So you got a buyer, and you got a house they like. This is the other side of the coin, which I'm very against buyers right now. I think everyone just needs to be super, super, super focused on listings. I think that is the market. I know Reed and Hunter are probably gonna be like, ugh. So I'll buy you a milkshake later. But I'm very against buyers. The only buyers I believe we should be working with, Jennifer will tell you this, the only buyers I believe you should be working with in this market are buyers that are coming out of your listings. And here's why. We know what's coming down the pike in July. We know what's coming down the pike when it comes to agents that are unable to negotiate their value. So why are we not just laser being focused? We also know that as sellers, that is going to be the market when rates do drop, right? Like, how many people were in the bidding wars in 2020 and 2021, right? Painful. You're one of 25 agents. When those rates do drop, even if they just drop 0.5%, it's gonna be a feeding frenzy because they're like, oh, this is our time, this is our time. So go have the listings. We talk about in our team buckets. We have 4 buckets. We have the seller that's ready to go to market today. We have the seller that would go to market if they could find what they were looking for. We have the seller that would go to market if they could get the price they want and the payment they want on their next house, meaning rates would have to go down or prices would have to go up. And then we have the people that are never moving. I don't care if I've got a stick of dynamite. I put everybody in a bucket, right, Jennifer? Everybody's in a bucket. And I'm going to my buckets to find my next listings, right? So investors and people that just have to sell, this is my best bucket right now. But this bucket right here, when rates drop, or if I can get the price I want, or if I find the house I want, that's a bucket I can go to. So I'm paying attention to what's coming on the market, and I'm looking for stuff off market, and I'm constantly pebbling them with, hey, what about this house? Have you seen this house? Have you thought about this house? Have you thought about that? Right? I'm having equity conversations. So you got an agent that maybe isn't as skilled as you, highly likely in a room like this. How do I get the house without them doing a price reduction? Well, bake that price reduction into the offer using these scripts. So what you're gonna say is, hi agent, this is Courtney, I wanna share with you some stats. And what it's gonna do is cause you to be able to hopefully help your client understand why our offer does make sense and it's not a lowball, right? And what I'd like to do is explain to you my clients fully approved. I'm glad to share with you the lender that we use and they close all of my transactions. I'd also like to explain to you that their inspection is going to be for foundation, major. We're not gonna nickel and dime you. We understand that the seller's gonna be reducing the price in an effort to get this contract under contract with us. But I also wanna explain to you that you've been on the market 72 days and there's been no price reductions. And you've actually had 2 other houses sell in your neighborhood for at a similar price to what I'm offering you right now. I wanna share all of this data with you in an effort to try to help you educate your seller on why our offer makes sense. Because they're probably wanting and knowing they need to do a price reduction, but they don't know how to get that client there. You're getting it. So what we encourage our buyers to do is make the offer, unless it's been on the market 10 days or less. When you've crossed over 10, 15 days, we're making an offer. And you may not love our offer, but we're gonna help you try to educate your seller on why that offer makes sense. Are you going to that extreme? Because I get a lot of lowballs and I'm like, this doesn't work. Or my client's corporate and they're not gonna take it, right? So understanding who you got on the other side, I look at license numbers, right? Look, I'm old guard, I've been around a minute. I look at license numbers and I'm not afraid to go, hey, let me help you. Let's cooperate and get a commission. I'm okay with it, right? It's fine. I'm not doing it in an insulting or demeaning or here's my resume, why you need to just tell your client Courtney Newton has presented an offer on their listing, they should take it. I wanna show you through stats, here's what it looks like. Right? So this goes back to the first 30 days on the market. So are you sending this slide over with your offer? Just want to share this. I mean, to me, this is as good as a pre-qualification letter, right? Because if I see Reed's name or Hunter's name on a pre-qual, I ain't calling them going, hey, is this going to close? Like, I know it's going to close. They don't put their name out there for anybody. But this right here, I might need this to convince my seller why their offer actually on day 30 is getting a 5% decrease. So that $550, or why they offered 5, right? I'm trying to educate them, okay? So then we get into price reduction conversations, and everybody's always like, I know they need a price reduction, I just don't know what to reduce, right? Because of course the seller's at 500 and goes, we should go 499, 900. Super aggressive, I think it'll send a message. And what we know is, we gotta do 4.2%. So let's just call it 25,000. Well, if you show the seller this up front with the slide before it, and you go, great news, day 21, the market's gonna tell us who we are, they're gonna tell us if we're a pretty girl and can dance, or they're gonna tell us if we got 2 left feet and need some makeup. And when day 22 shows up, we're gonna be reducing 4.2 or 5%, let's call it. Just wanna let you know, this is my strategy. And I think that's 99% of the time what most agents lack is a strategy. So if you can walk into the listing and say that, to me, expireds, you got nothing to lose. They're either gonna be, I'm attached to my price and I'm not listing with you, or thank you for giving me a strategy, I love it, let's go, I've been begging for this for 129 days, right? So you walk in just guns blazing, here's what we're gonna do. Day 22, I'm reducing the price. If it doesn't sell, then we're gonna reduce it again another 22 days, right? Like, here's the strategy. I'm gonna stage her in here, photographer, I'm gonna tell every agent I know about it. I'm gonna host an open house these weekends, and this is what we're doing, and it's gonna get sold, and if it doesn't, then we're reducing the price. 4.2% is what the market says, but I'll tell you what, on day 22, I'm gonna double check that it's not 5.2. Deal, deal, deal. They go, I'm not willing to do all that. Great, thank you so much, and we'll go find a seller who does. Right? Because I don't care about the expired. It's not a referral from my Aunt Linda. Like, I'm not attached, because that's some of it. You walk in and you're like, I know Dottie and she's so great and I want to make sure I do it because I did a great job for her and she may never send me another referral if I don't get this house sold. That's what we tell ourselves. But is that true? No. I've had clients go, yeah, you dodged the bullet not taking those things, right? I've had those clients who are like, Yeah, I mean, and they still ain't sold, or they did sell, and it was awful, and I told them they should have used you and listened to you, and they ended up getting the same money, right? Those exist. So this is the other, and you present these two slides in an appointment, you immediately look different than the other agents they talk to, right? Your face ain't frozen, all of it. Next slide. Price reduction effect. So this is where you really, when you get the guy that goes, well, I'm okay taking a big price reduction, I'm okay riding the market. We got all the time in the world. We're good, we're comfortable, right? Well, you go, okay, are you comfortable enough that 93 days from now you'll sit? And that's where you take them down that future pacing. And the wife's going, hell no, I'm not driving these kids from Dunwoody to East Cobb every day for the next 90 days. Heck no, I'm not gonna sit in traffic every night because we're holding on to $25,000 that we're never gonna get anyway, right? You put them in that pain, right? We talk about pleasure and pain. Gosh, wouldn't it be great that you could leave your house at 8:45 and be at school by 9? Wouldn't that be nice? Instead of 7:45? Right? What's an extra hour with your family look like? Right? Wear and tear on your car, all those things. So you take them to pain. Alright, so this is Cobb. And look, guys, you know, we live in this beautiful bubble that's called Cobb County. And look, here's what I would tell you. What I'm really looking at is, where is the fish? Now, I know we've got fancy pants left us, Brenda Bashara. I know we've got some fancy pants realtors that love these high price points. Tell her I call her fancy pants, I don't care. Love these high price points, but here's what I'm going to tell you, fancy pants. There's fish in these middle price points. So what we see is in Cobb, I mean, you know, if you take a listing around $400,000, which is still a very lovely paycheck, did I mention my $8,000 lot that I got $75 for? Is I take a $400,000 listing that's priced right, what's gonna happen to it? Anywhere in Cobb. Gone. Now, it's exciting, Tina's a fancy pants, it's exciting when Tina gets, she gets a gorgeous $99 million listing, and it's 100,000 square feet, and it's gorgeous, and we're all in awe that people live like that, right? And those are great, but I know Tina also wants it to sell, and you gotta sell a lot of $400,000 houses to get there. So that's again where well priced, because when we start looking at, you know, when you start looking at $1.5 to $3 million and the number of units sold, let me find it, closed sales. Do you know how many happened in May? 16. Double it because it's two sides of the transaction, we'll say, so 32. There's only 32 teams running around. But then, if I go over here and I say, okay, let's say 400 to, let's just say 400 to 600. That's not even that big of a jump. You know how many sales I had? 312. That's a lot. And then I double it because it's two sides. I had 624 sales that existed in the month of May. So, we all like being fancy pants, and I'm not saying don't take the fancy pants listings, but what I'm really saying is go get signs in yards, and as many as you can get that are priced right, because what we know, the bulk of the market is honestly sitting between 350 and really about 700,000. That's where most of the business is happening, right? Because we get all excited. I mean, look, we see it on our team. They get so excited they got this $1.5 million buyer. And they've had them for 20 months. And I'm to the point you can't even name them on our call weekly as an option on the game board, because you're playing Yahtzee and we're playing Monopoly. They don't exist. But they exist in their mind, and what happens is they cloud your mental space and they cloud your focus. They're great when they show up. I'm not saying those are not nice paychecks. They are. And I want you to go fish where there's fish available to you. And that's why knowing the stats matters. Because here's the other thing that knowing the stats does. Say I've got a $700,000 to $800,000 buyer. They could stretch. Reed's like, well, I mean, they said they want their payment to be around $800,000, but I mean, I could prove them it's 9. That's where you're saying to them, well, all right, Mr. Seller, I just want to educate you on something. 61 sales that happened between 7 and 8. It's very competitive. There were only 39 from 8 to 9. And in your market, there's 48 houses on the market between 8 and 9. I think we ought to look and make offers. And maybe they spend $820. Maybe they spend $850. Maybe they spend $9 because they go, wow, look how much more we can get for our money. Are you presenting that to your clients to go, hey, I get 7 to 8 where you wanna land? And we need to consider looking up a little bit and maybe looking for homes that have been on the market for greater than 21 days because they're due for a 4% price reduction. So if I brought you a home that's been on the market 25 days, that is at 5% over your sales price, so let's call it $840, $850, would you be offended if I thought we had a strategy to get that house for you? No, because they're just getting hammered between 7 and 8. That's why stats matter. You're building and developing strategy to be able to help your clients make good decisions, okay? All right, so this is the COB again. I go back to this because I want to talk through the price reduction days on market. What we're seeing is month over month, we're getting a little faster with our price reductions, but it's still taking most agents about 68 days on average to actually get a price reduction. So by getting it faster, you're probably doing your client a better service, right? Okay? And then this is what Sean always called the American Idol. These are the people who think they can sing. Up here, these are the people that actually can sing. They got closing checks. And so I like to show this when I have that seller that goes, we can wait. And you say, okay, well, here's what we see. If I look at that red, and especially when you're in the back of the room, I know you're not going to see exact numbers, but it looks like a little roller coaster, doesn't it? Because we know July, August, September is when it starts to go back down on the roller coaster. So let me ask you, Mr. Seller, do you think your odds will be higher or lower to sell your home come September, October? So when you can bring them real factual data, you can counter them in a logical way because they're coming from emotion, right? I bought this house in 2020 and I had to pay $40,000 over. And you're like, you have $150,000 and you've done nothing but live in it for the last 3 years. Shut up. Right? I mean, I say that in a listing appointment. I have no problem saying that. And they're like, yeah, you're right. But we did mow the grass. So listings, history, all of that. So pay attention to that stuff. Listen to what they're saying and be willing, like have these things printed out, ready to go in your file folder. I don't give it to them as part of the packet or the information. I just have it like, oh, you wanna test the market? Bam, test it, look what happens. Oh, you wanna ride it out? Let's go. Right? Like you're able to give them information. Okay? All right, so that's real talk. First, this is what I do. Real talk with Coco. Kids call me Coco. Because Courtney's hard to say when you're four. First, I believe everyone needs to be getting their butts back in the market. It's just me back in the market center. I think there is correct collaboration happening when you come into the market center. I think you hear stories, you find out about other listings, you hear about other people, right? There's a little bit of conversation happening. I think that you should find you a group, a sticky church, that you say to yourselves, we're gonna be in the office these days. These are hard on our calendar. We're gonna make calls together. We're gonna share our successes and we're gonna get to work, right? We do those within our office. We have a weekly huddle. We have 135s. We have accountability. So get your butt in the office. Quit focusing on the NAR lawsuit. Doesn't matter. Doesn't care. Doesn't matter. I'm still gonna make the same money I made next year. Maybe more. Hopefully more. Because I'm gonna know how to beat the ones that are worried about it. So if you're worried about it, it's because you don't know what you do to provide value. Figure that out. Sit down with Jim. Anybody that I don't know who the productivity coaches are. Jim, whoever, Jalen. Develop a value proposition. Once you know what you do, you don't care to charge for it. Get out of your comfort zone and being intentional. What worked last month is probably not going to work this month because the market is rapidly changing. We see that in listings. I mean, in less than a year, we have 60% more listings, almost double what's on the market. So the market is changing rapidly. So study the market, know the inventory, know what people are pricing stuff at, have conversations in the office with your friends. Tell me how that listing go. How was the open house traffic? What was this? Because we like to post on Facebook, but here's what I know. The agent that held an open house in Sandy Springs, Dunwoody, Brookhaven is a different open house in East Cobb. Because right now, East Cobb, let's be honest, there's like 2 school districts that, I mean, Namie Price, and they'll sell. And that matters, knowing that data, because if I've got a seller in that price point, we can be more aggressive. But I have one in another school district, we can't be as aggressive. So understanding those nuances, so really get micro-focused. So get out of your comfort zone. Go preview houses. I like to look at it, I'll call an agent and go, congrats on 1, 2, 3 going under contract. That's really awesome. Can I ask you, what was it that caused it to go under contract so fast? Because there's like 4 other listings in there and I've got an opportunity potentially, or I've got a client that lives in there and I'd love to tell them what the story is. Right? Are you calling it, do you have that relationship with agents? I mean, Virginia, I had lunch with a non-Keller Williams agent last week, calm down, Jim. And Virginia was at the table behind me having lunch with non-KW agents.
Calm down, Jim.
Look, yeah, calm down, Jim, I don't even tell you who I was having lunch with, I don't like to do that to you. How's your ticker, good? So anyway, and the listing, I already went to explore this, listing-based versus buyer-based. I really can't emphasize, I've always been about listings, and what we know is in the MRA model, if I look over there, it's leads, listings, leverage. Gary does not talk about buyers being any part of the equation. It is about signs and yards. I'm doing this, Cindy's actually my next victim for we're calling it Lunch with Friends because it's really just me having a conversation about their listings, where did they come from, what are they doing, I'm doing it once a week. And it's just a Zoom that we record and it's just strategies. We've already done 2 with Jenna Meestrock. She's closed almost $10 million this year in business. $10 million. And then Billy Howard, who has a really cool, I'll help him get it fixed up and then get it on market. It's a great strategy. He talks about how he works through it and he's actually charging more commission. See, if you know your value, you're not afraid to charge for it. And he's very unattached to work with me, don't work with me. He does a Zoom before they ever sit down and talk to make sure they're cool with what he's about to say. And if they say, right, he's done. He doesn't meet with them. His time's too valuable. So I'm excited to chat with Cindy about what she's doing and what's working and when she's seeing. And then next week I have Donna McClure. And then we have more, it's every Wednesday we release them. So watch my Facebook page, it'll pop up. So you're welcome to register if you want the link automatically be sent to you. You can register here. I think that's it. Oh, so what's your ridiculous opportunity creator? What's the thing you're gonna leave out here and actually freaking go do?
Doorknob.
Doorknob for what?
I'm doorknob around my listings, for listings.
Okay, what does that look like? I didn't talk about door knocking, so I'm just curious did I go off the rails that bad? Let's talk about this.
I mean, I've got listings from door knocking around my
Okay.
listings by telling the story.
Okay, so you're telling the story to people that live, okay, got it.
And just saying, hey, I had, 12 or 15 people from the past open house. I don't think any of those people are a match for my house. They might be a match for you.
That's right.
Or for a neighbor. Who do you know that I should know? Right?
Okay.
Let's make a connection.
Gotcha, okay, what else? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm a new agent, but I would say getting the office more. I think
Oh.
that's what I live far, but I think that's my struggle, but I know that's something that I wanna work on, so.
So you work from home? You work from home?
And that's the problem though, because then I find myself doing.
Laundry,
Laundry.
doing prepping, checking the mail, maybe doing, right, mowing the grass, doing anything but lead generation, right? I got you, I get it, that's why I don't work from home, because I can, believe me, I can keep myself busy. So, yep, alright, what else? Yes?
I like how you putting your life on hold for an interest rate.
Yeah.
What was that?
Are you putting your life on hold for an interest rate, Eric? You and your wife staying in your home because you're attached to your 3% interest rate. What would that equity do if you unlocked it and used it towards a problem you have in your life, a challenge? What would that look like? Are you having those conversations? Are you? You're going to.
Right. More.
Right, not with my clients at the pool. People talk, Eric, they call me, they go, yeah.
Oh,
They talk.
like.
They talk. Trust me, nothing happens that Courtney doesn't know anything.
I wasn't listening, all right.
Look, you can solicit all you want, I'm taking your daughter to the lake Thursday, I ain't worried at all. Yeah, you get her, you can have her. So, yes, sir.
I was just gonna say, the taxes are going up, insurance going up. The
Yep.
cost of carrying a home is not getting any cheaper. I think, I used to sell in the commercial finance world, I sold very expensive money. And what I realized is that you had to ask the client, what is it costing you to not do this? If our cost of capital is 4% on revenues, what are you not taking advantage of by not saying, okay, if I pay that price and I create cash today, and it, was an aha moment because I quit selling the expensive side.
Yeah.
And I sold, what are you not doing? Forget me.
Right.
I'll leave you today. I'm like you, I'll walk away. So, you got a $10,000 a year tax bill divided by 365. That's about $29 a day. So you gotta ask your client is, you wanna stay here, you wanna sit on the market for 100 days? Then just start adding the dollars up day by day.
Well, and where I'm seeing it is in the clients that are, let's say, 45 to 60. So they're not there for the 62 school tax exemption. They got a few years to go before they'll get there, and that tax bill, the kids are in college or out of the house, let's say, or maybe are still in the house, but they don't need all the house. That's where we're seeing a lot of people loosen up and go, you know what, we don't need this 7,000 square foot house, and we can take all this equity, go throw it against another, and that's where you're having conversations with your lenders, with Hunter and Reed, and you're saying to them, hey, real quick, run me a payment. I mean, Hunter knows I text this a lot. Run me a payment of 500,000 with 400,000 down. What was 100,000 on mortgage, right? And I'll call them and go, mortgage, taxes, everything be, you know, $1,300 if we move down to that. We sell your $900,000 or $1 million house, get you out of that in a market that's demanding it, right? I mean, that's $700,000 to $800,000 houses. In East Cobb, we know that's almost a starter home, let's be real. But we know an $800,000-$900,000 house in East Cobb will sell. And that's where you're calling the folks that are holding on to them as rentals that go, well, my payment's this, and they just got that tax bill, and now it doesn't cash flow. Because I'm listing one in Smyrna, and that's the exact stories. They got their assessment in April, tenants out in July, and before they were making like almost $500 a month. Well, taxes just went up, their homestead just fell off, they're gonna make like $62 a month. And so they're like, we still looking good for that pricing? I mean, literally sent me the email yesterday, I was like, yes ma'am, yes sir, we're good, we just need that dang little tenant to get out of there at the end of July, right? So are you having those conversations? Because a lot of my landlords that we manage, my conversation with them is, I think you'd be smarter to 1031 it into something else. What would that look like? Right, because I can get a mortgage on a 1031, right, Hunter? I could take my money, put it in, you know, and go get another mortgage and find something that cash flows better, or is a better appreciating asset.
Or get that beach condo.
I don't know, flood insurance in Florida, that's.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
I don't wanna talk about Florida properties negatively, but, I mean, you know, we just added one into our group portfolio, so I don't wanna get too, negative on the beach houses. But yes, right, but what does that look like? And that's for them to determine. Is the house the rental house that you've had for the last 10 years, is it smart to go buy something where the kids going to college and you house hack it? I don't know. What is the problem you've got right now? Because I got a friend, their kid's going to Georgia, and she's like, it ain't the tuition that's eating me up. It's everything else. She's like, I can afford the tuition. Thank goodness for the lottery. I can afford all that. It's the housing I can't afford. It's the room and board that I got to agree to pay because they live on campus. All these things that they require. Are you having those conversations? That, hey, this time next year, let's start looking. Let me refer you to an agent in Auburn. Let me refer you to an agent at LSU, right? What does that look like? Are you thinking that strategically with them? Let's sell your Austell rental and go buy you something in Oxford.
Okay, two questions.
Oh boy.
So what happens if the race goes 6.5 before the end of the year, and the Braves don't win the World Series?
So rates will go, I think. I think what we're gonna see is September, like Jennifer will tell you. I mean, I like to gamble. I enjoy a good gamble. And it's worked out well for me in my life. And so I'm pushing all the chips in that come mid-August, by October 1st, the rates will dip. And I've done this 22 years, and it's an election year, and I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, because I promise you I'm not what you probably think I am. And when I cash in on that, I believe there's sellers that are in these middle two buckets, that are the seller that would sell if they could find the right house, and the seller that would sell if the payment made sense. They're gonna be coming over to bucket one very quickly. So, and it's only gonna take about 0.5%. I think that people are so demented on rates. But where I think their strategy, and this is where I'm encouraging a lot of my clients, is if you have the financial luxury to go ahead and buy your next house and then sell, you could potentially be buying in a buyer's market and selling in a seller's market. And here's what I know. I mean, this is a strategy I've been implementing for myself, is I am willing to buy today and know that my lender will offer a low to no cost refinance come September, October when those rates do dip. And I'm willing to ride that wave and hope for it. And I get it, we're seeing everybody like start questioning the marry the rate, what is it, date the house, marry the rate, whatever. Look, dating sucks, so we're just gonna focus on marrying a house. And marry the house, and then the rate will show up. Because I can tell you the first house I ever bought was at 7.75 on an 80-20. I refinanced that little puppy probably 6 times over the course of 15 years. I owned it. From the time I lived in it to the time it was an investment, I mean, I did heart pamp, you know, help a sister out, I did every mortgage they do that kept bringing my payment down. So, are you talking to clients like that? Let's just go get you the house that works for what you need. And then as rates drop, I've got a lender that's gonna be talking to you. I'm not worried about it. I partner with someone that is committed as I am to making sure you have the very best rate. Because Jennifer will tell you, I sat when those rates were 3.5%, just dialing clients. Did you know we could bring payment down $600 and bring payment? And there's some of them that just, no thanks. Yep. I'm good. I can give you names. Like it still eats me up that they're paying 6% interest right now on a house that could have 3.5 on that they're still living in. They're just dumb. I can't help them. Right? I mean, they got them in their life. I could be taking advantage of them if they weren't. So that's the difference. So go get the house, then figure out. Like the lender's not gonna let you buy more than you can afford. But yeah, go buy the house and then work your way down on the rates. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and they go to 5.5. I don't think so. I just don't think they're gonna be that aggressive with it. If we're lucky, you get 6.25. If we're real lucky, you get 6. We're at 7. I bought an investment house last month and I did a mortgage on it. My rate was 7.75, I think. I mean, I don't know, right? Doesn't matter because the asset, I got it below market. I got it 60 cents on the dollar. I put down enough that it cash flows for a rental. It didn't matter what the rate was because that's what I've got to work with at this moment in time. Now you better bet your bananas. Those rates drop and I can get it under 7 or I can get it at 6.5 on an investment loan. I'm refinancing it, right? So are you doing those things? Because the opportunity existed. I did $100,000 worth of net worth to my portfolio. Plus I got rental income. Are you thinking like that for your clients? Are you thinking like that for yourself? Get in the game. Questions, comments, concerns, cuss words? And yes, the Braves, of course, are gonna win the World Series. Calm down. We're gonna make some major moves come July. Big moves.
You're not finding those deals because you're not working.
Well, you're not finding those deals because you're not asking enough people. Who do you know that just died? Did they own any rental properties? Because guess what? You think I'm joking, Virginia? Do you not have friends that are dying? Do you not have people you know that are dying?
This morning.
Correct. Oh, I'm so sorry. And do they own real estate? I'm making jokes, and that is reality. And people are going to get called the minute that probate or will gets posted, and they're going to get the worst scum of the earth calling them and saying, your house is only worth X, da 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 da. And that estate is gonna go, well, we're gonna take, you don't pay real estate, it's as is, and you need to be that person saying to them, maybe they are the best offer. And can I also make you an offer, and can I also show you what it'd look like to go retail? Let me at least show you your options, and I'm good with whichever one you pick. And if this guy's the best, I'm gonna encourage you to take it. But I'm also gonna make an offer too. Cash flows ready to go. I'm also gonna show you what, if we did a little bit of work, what it would look like to fix it up. Are you asking those kind of questions? Because that's the thing. Just ask enough people, right? They see me coming and they're like, oh God, here she comes with real estate questions, right? How's the house? How's the roof? When you bought it, it was 15 years old and they're getting ready to replace it. The insurance gonna cover it? Do you have $20,000 set aside? You need to set up an equity line. What does that look like? Do you need a roofer? Why don't I send my guy by and get you a quote? Are we doing that kind of stuff? Because you know, we sell houses with roofs towards the end of their useful life in that school district, and they're selling right now for houses. Time to get out. What about that tax bill? I mean, everybody right now, the easy call, I know I say this every year. Freaking tax bill, right? You got like 10 days left before they're due to appeal. But I mean, most people can't appeal. Like, they're just there. Like, that's what it's worth. I mean, pretty much everybody I've been talking to is like, good news, your house is actually worth more. Right? And it's gonna hit you again next year. And let me explain what's gonna happen with your escrows. They're gonna collect last year's tax bill and next year's tax bill. So it's actually not going up by 400, it's going up by 800. They're gonna send you notice August 1 when they pay the bill. You cool with that? Are you prepared? Because you also can write a check for the $4,000 shortage, but it's still gonna go up $400, right? Are you talking to them? That's an easy call. And they're glad you did it because they don't know what the heck is getting ready to happen. And it can create inventory for you, right? And Any other questions?
This is the quietest crowd y'all been since you've been here. Come on.
She got one of the
What you ask? Exactly like that. Courtney, thank y'all very much. Anything we didn't talk about, can we talk about?
The office is closed tomorrow.
Open close.
You didn't welcome our visitors.
What you ask?
You didn't welcome our visitors.
Well, if you're a visitor here today, welcome. We're glad that you're here. Come back anytime you want to.
I apologize.
Exactly like that.
Stand up and introduce themselves.
Stand up and. If you're a visitor, you'd like to introduce yourself, you can, but if you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yes, Patty.
What?
Hi everyone, my name is Bella. I am a new agent. I have a background in public health. Yeah, I'm an agent and I would like to work with Patty.
Welcome,
Anybody else want to introduce themselves?
One more.
One more thing. I love this subject. Yes, please.
So I just graduated from high school and I'm in over here, I'm sorry. And tomorrow I'm planning to schedule my state exam, so.
She is the fourth person that I met this month who was 18, 19 years old and went to real estate. So they're hearing good things.
She started planning at 17. She waited till she was 17 and a half, started taking her class, so she could take her exam when she turned 18.
What, anybody else? Hey, well, thank you for your patience today and have a great day.
Thank you.